Ms. Tong Williams, in 2016, when you were running for U.S. Senate in Colorado, you told Colorado Public Radio at the time that Medicare and Social Security should be returned to their roots as a safety net for the poor and the disadvantaged in our country, not a guaranteed retirement plan. Could you explain your position on Social Security, who should receive it, what age they should get it, and what should happen to the folks entering now should this be a public option for those entering the workplace?
Well, that's what I learned after I come to this country. Where did the Social Security come from? When was it created? And I did some research with my husband's help. It's supposed to be providing insurance for the people and later, for their older years. But then it got bigger and bigger, and everybody trying to use it as a political slush fund. And there's no lockbox, there's no trust fund. That's why we'll talk about today, that money is going to be running out. So it got bigger and bigger, and they have more and more people get on it. And even some programs that they're trying to get illegal immigrants who come here, if you give them a pathway to green card citizenship, they can't get on that too. So there's no trust fund, and it's just political slush fund. I want to protect that for our seniors. It's earned benefits. That's not money that the federal government should not touch with, should not play with.
So please be clear, who should receive Social Security?
People who pay into the system all their lives, and they should have guaranteed benefits today. But not, if you're not American citizen, you never pay into the system, then you should not come in to share that pie, piece of pie. That's what I truly believe. I have lots of people who tell me that they are living on fixed income. They are really suffering right now.
Thank you. Ms. Goodlander, the Social Security Administration has warned in very blunt terms the program is not financially sustainable in its current form, they write. This warning has been repeated for years, and at this point now there is a critical deadline on the calendar for when beneficiaries actually start seeing smaller checks. If you believe the program should continue, what action does Congress need to take to ensure that the checks continue in their full form?
I do believe that we must protect Social Security and strengthen it. And this is, to me, this is a big difference between the two of us and a really important issue in this election. I believe that Social Security is a bedrock promise. This is a program that hardworking seniors have paid into their entire lives. We have a lot of public policy problems in this country that have complex solutions. For this one, a simple principle really guides me in how I think about it. I believe that the basic American principle that everyone should pay their fair share, including and especially the wealthiest among us, is the path to ensuring the solvency of Social Security. But I just want to point out what we've heard. My opponent, when she was a candidate for Congress in Colorado, said three things that should give us all pause, all of the viewers tonight. Number one, she said that the United States Constitution is best read to suggest that programs that aren't explicitly in the Constitution, it's ideally best if we don't have a government that includes those programs. That would include Social Security. She has repeatedly embraced the idea of raising the retirement age, and she has said that we should privatize Social Security. That would put Social Security on the chopping block, and that's something that we should not allow. This is inconsistent with New Hampshire's way of doing business.
Ms. Tong Williams, 30 seconds.
Right now, we have a common ground. We want to protect Social Security, except we disagree on one thing. Should the federal government stick its fingers into Social Security cookie jar and get caught? And constantly use it as slush fund, and constantly get other people move on to Social Security, SSI, and to get benefits when have not paying to benefits. Our senior citizens deserve better. And if you are not part of the Biden administration, open border policies, maybe we shouldn't have so many illegals coming and draining our financial resources in this country. And
Ms. Tong Williams,
financial incentives are given to those
30
people
seconds to Ms.
coming
Goodlander.
here.
I'm not really sure what you mean by all of that, but I would just say this. You are on record. Your positions on the issue of Social Security are a matter of public record, and you should be accountable for those positions. And those positions are completely at odds with the way that I think about what Congress needs to do to protect and to strengthen Social Security.